Which is better, the UK or Ireland? If you are thinking about moving to Europe and you're wondering where to live and work between Ireland and the United Kingdom, I'm here to share some points that can help make that decision a little bit easier for you. Just for clarity, I do live in Ireland, so my opinion might be just slightly biased, but I promise you, for the purposes of this video, I will only give the facts. The UK is a much bigger country in comparison to Ireland. According to statistics, there's about 67 million people living in the UK. Obviously, that number fluctuates from time to time as immigration continues. As you can see, that's a very big country. Now, let's compare it to Ireland. There is about 4.9 million people living in Ireland. So you can see the difference in the size of the two countries. Because of the size, the UK does offer more in terms of employment. The bigger the country, this means the more hospitals, the more schools, the more companies, the more restaurants and hotels opening up. So there is a much bigger space and bigger market when it comes to employment opportunities. So we'll give that point to the United Kingdom that it is a bigger space when it comes to employment opportunities. Now, number two is a fact that you should definitely put into consideration. Because the United Kingdom is so big, you don't necessarily have to live in London, which is one of the most expensive cities. You can move to other counties or other provinces that are much cheaper than London. Ireland, unfortunately, at the moment is facing an accommodation crisis. So it is very difficult to secure a house, whether it is for rent or to buy. Obviously, if you leave Dublin and go further out from Dublin, you can find affordable houses for sale, but it is still extremely difficult to find apartments or houses to rent. Sadly, because of this, we'll still have to give a point to the UK. Now, both the UK and Ireland have horrible weather. Like whatever leftover rain is leftover, they send it to Ireland and they send it to the UK. So it's always raining here. It's always super cold in both countries. But even though both countries are both so cold and wet, Irish people are generally very warm and very welcoming people. Even if you are in the workplace, most people that you work with are usually like this. So it's not always that most working environments are toxic. Most working places are actually very nice to work in because the people are so warm and kind. Now, my British people, on the other hand, are not notoriously known for their warmth. The British people are known to be a bit cold and a bit standoffish to strangers or to outsiders. And sometimes they can be like that among themselves as well. That's just who they are. Whereas Irish people are like, what's the story? They're just welcoming to everyone and they're just warm and loving and kind to everyone. That being said, most Irish people have a relationship with each other if they live in close proximity. For example, I do know my neighbor. I've been to my neighbor's house. I've had a cup of coffee. I've had a cup of tea at my neighbor's house. I know my butcher. I don't just go in and buy meat. I go in, I buy meat. I have a chat. Same thing with the gentleman that sells my vegetables. And I support those small businesses because I have a relationship with them. Because of this, I am going to give this a massive 2 points to Ireland. I did warn you that I'm a little bit biased. I'm going to give it 2 points to Ireland because you want to live in a country where you feel welcome. Now, the third one is what I think is the most important factor that you should consider when you decide to move to any of these countries. Now, the United Kingdom is no longer in the EU. After something that was famously known as Brexit, the United Kingdom exited the EU. What this necessarily means is that if you work and live in the United Kingdom for a number of years, you get UK citizenship that doesn't necessarily mean that you still have free movement in the rest of the EU. Obviously, you can still visit, you can still pass through the borders, there's no problem at all. But if you decide to leave the UK because you have a job opportunity, let's say in Germany, you would now need to get a work permit in Germany, whereas in the past, you could just move countries. There was just free movement. And this has affected a broad industry, or should I say, this has affected a broad number of factors. This has affected businesses as well. Like there's a lot of policies that are now in place for businesses, for qualifications. There's a lot that is coming into that factor. However, if you immigrate to Ireland, live and work in Ireland, you're a good citizen, a good tax-paying citizen, and you one day decide, look, I want to apply for Irish citizenship. If you do apply for Irish citizenship, you are successful, you have free movement for the rest of the EU states. So if years down the line, you get a job opportunity in Germany, you just have to hop on to Germany. There's not much other paperwork that is needed because Ireland is within the EU. But on the same note, if you decide that you want to go and work in the UK and you have an EU passport from Ireland, guess what? You don't need a permit or anything else. You can still go and work in the UK like things were before the United Kingdom exited the EU. And for that, I'm going to give 5 points to Ireland for that. I feel like there's more points that you should consider if you decide to move to Europe and you're deciding between Ireland and the UK. Most people consider these two countries as they are English-speaking countries, so it's usually the better choice in the EU to move to. I will do another series, but obviously let me know if you're interested, where I go through some of the points and we decide where you should move to between the United Kingdom and Ireland. But for this video, Ireland wins 100%. Hi, it's me again. If you're looking for positions or looking to relocate to the UK or Ireland and you're looking for a sponsor, I take the time to look around and see if I can find any sponsors, and I put that in a newsletter and I send that newsletter out every Thursday. If you're interested in that, you'll find the link down below, so you can check that out and you can get yourself a sponsor. You can apply, you can try your luck. If you're successful and you do get a sponsor, let me know in the comments section. I do urge you that even though I do my research and try and find legitimate sponsors, from time to time scammers do sip in, and they get better and better every day. So always be vigilant, always check out that the sponsors I've sent do have a certificate of sponsorship if they're in the UK, and you can find that on the official UK website. You will find out if that company actually has a certificate of sponsorship and they can bring you into the UK or Ireland. I always say to people, try and avoid companies, even if they're legit, ask you to pay any admin fees. There are many companies out there that will provide you a position without you paying admin fees or certificate of sponsorships fees. Bye bye.